So some things to be wary about when we're doing bed math. If there is no operation in between the brackets and the numbers, what's implied is multiplication. Okay, so that's always a default operator when we look at calculations here. So if there's no operation, the default operation is times. Okay, so here, this is one that you really need to be extra careful of. I'm going to highlight this one because this is a common mistake that I see all the time. It's one of the most common mistakes, and this is one I will always put on a test to check to see if you make it or not. Okay, and it's this. BEDMAS tells us to do times before subtraction, but lots of people like to go left to right. Okay, and they say, oh, they go 3 minus 15 is negative 12. Okay, that is incorrect. You cannot do operations left to right. Okay, that never works. There's no rule that ever said left to right. It's order of operations, times before subtraction. Number 3 is one I've kind of talked about already. It makes a big difference if you have a power and brackets or power and no brackets. Here this means that we have negative 5 all squared, which means negative 5 times negative 5. The power affects everything directly to left. That means the brackets, so everything in the brackets. Here, the power only affects the 5. So it's 5 times 5. And then the negative is on the outside of that, so it's applied afterwards. So this is equal to positive 25, where this is equal to negative 5 times 5, which is negative 25. Okay. This is another one I see often. BEDMAS tells me I have to do exponents first, so I shouldn't really do the times here. Okay, so we can't times 2 times 3. So BEDMAS tells us this is not something we're supposed to do. But just in general, this is an exponential expression, okay, which means that 3 is a base. It doesn't act as a regular number there. The 3 is telling you the number of times we use 4 as a multiplier. So we never multiply into the base. Okay, so what has to happen here is we have to do the exponents first. So 3 to the power of 4 is 81. Then we can do the times. Okay, once there's no exponents in there, then we can multiply them together. But if there's an exponent, okay, BEDMAS tells me we can't do that first. Also, just in general, you cannot multiply bases. So this example here, we do not want to do 4 plus 1 first. Okay, that is a big no-no. So we want to just make sure we keep track of that 1, and then this is a times in there. That's the default operation, is times. Okay, so but before times we should do brackets. So we end up with 4 times 4, and so we end up with 1 plus 16, which equals 17 is my calculation. Okay, so here, same thing. We do not do 3 minus 2. Okay, that is the big no-no. Okay, we always do multiplication before that subtraction. So minus, and we're going to do the brackets first. Positive 8 minus negative means plus. Plus 6 gives me 14. Again, I do the times. That means I got to keep track of that. Plus 3. Okay, until it's turn to be applied. So now we're at this addition subtraction part. So we get 3 minus 28 equals negative 25. So here we have exponents first. So we're not going to apply that. Okay, we are not going to multiply this together. Okay, we have to apply the exponents first. So I do 3 plus 5 times negative 2 times negative 2 gives me the positive 4. Okay, so I'm going to do the multiplication before I do the addition. So I get 3 plus 20. So I end up with an answer of 23. Okay, so again, here, same thing. We do not want to do 12 minus 3 first. It's going to be 12. Okay, the order in which we do this is important. It is not left to right. So we're going to do 4 minus 7 is negative 3. squared plus 2. So we do the power first, then times. So again, we need to keep track of that 12. We need to keep track of that times 3. Negative 3 times negative, that squared is on both the negative and the 3. So it's going to be negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Okay, we're going to, 3 times 9 is 27. Now it's all add and subtract. So plus 12 minus 27 is negative 15. Plus 2 is negative 13. Okay, so this one here, we're being asked to put brackets around the calculation to make it equal to 5. So this is, I want you to try this on your own. Just pause it and try it on your own, and I'll show you the solutions in a second. Okay, so try this on your own. Okay, so this solution, what we need to do is make it equal to 5. So this is kind of tricky in that I've got a big positive 61, and I need to get rid of a lot of it to get down to 5. So probably need to do something with this to group this all together. In fact, I probably want to make my multiplication as big as I can. In fact, if I put brackets around here, what I'm going to end up with is 61 minus 7 times 2 plus 6 is 8. This is going to be 56, and that's going to give us the difference of 5. Okay, so the brackets go around the 2 plus 6. And again, the reason why I chose that as an option was because I kind of knew that I had to grow this times 7 into a fairly big number, because I'm going to have to take it away from 61, because I'm going to go all the way down to 5. This one here is a little bit more complicated. So we got to kind of try, maybe do some trial and error. I'm going to have negative 16 here. That's going to be 12. That's going to be plus minus 4. Yeah, that's not going to get me to 15. I need a bigger positive. Okay, so how am I going to get a bigger positive here? Well, let's say I try this. I'm going to do, let's see if I can get 15 by grouping all this together maybe. Okay, so I'm going to have, let's see, it's going to be, oh, I think I've got it here. Okay, so we need to make, if I have here, well, I've got 12. I'm seeing that if I put my brackets in here, that's going to be negative 2 squared, which is 4 plus 12 minus, yeah, that's going to work. This one's a little bit tricky. You have to play around with it a bit. But if I mess around with it long enough, I'll probably run across this. Okay, so 4 times 3 is 12. So I end up with positive 4 plus 12 minus 1. And that's going to give me the 15 that I wanted. So the brackets are going to go around that place there. Okay, so these are ones we kind of have to mess around with a little bit of guessing and checking, but give you some, if you have some intuition, you want to try to follow that intuition a little bit. So I talked about this part a little bit before, in that the division statement, we really want to start using a fraction. Okay, because if I wrote this out in a line, 5 times 2 cubed plus 6 divided by 2 times 3 minus 4. Well, this is really very different than what this calculation is. Okay, and it's this divide that's the problem. Okay, the divide doesn't allow us to group things properly. So if we want to group things properly, we really should write it as a ratio. In fact, we're going to do a lot of work with ratios and rational expressions. So it's really important to start getting used to writing things in a ratio form, in the fraction form, because this is much easier to work with, because I know that the numerator and denominator now are separate calculations. So I can work this out as 5 times 8 plus 6 all over 6 minus 4. So this becomes 40 plus 6 is 46, divided by 6 minus 4 is 2, and we get a 23. And we can apply the divide at the end, and we can treat the numerator and denominator separately. It's almost like they have brackets around it. Okay, so this is a nice thing about using this divide as a fraction instead of divide as a divide sign. And we're going to try to start working towards using this and not using that divide sign anymore.